Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. You're able to unmute? I made you co-host.
Yes, I am. Can you hear me now?
Yes, Prabhu, we can hear you.
You want to just play some kirtan for a couple of minutes?
Yes, Prabhu, we'll do so.
Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama.
Should we begin? Hare Krishna. So, Mandar Prabhu, should we start?
Yes, Prabhu, we can start.
You can just spotlight my video.
Sure. Yes, Prabhu, it is done.
Hare Krishna. So, warm welcome to everybody for this session. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for removing time and joining this session. You could have been doing many other things, so we appreciate your time. And we are removing time to invest in ourselves, in making ourselves better as people, as souls, and as devotees of Lord Krishna. So these teachings that Krishna has given in the Bhagavad Gita are not academic, they are not theoretical, they are not impractical. They are very much applicable and they are meant for application. They are meant for application in our day-to-day lives. And they're not just meant for somebody who is a renunciate, a sadhu or a sadhvi in terms of a sannyasi or a sannyasini or a brahmachari or a brahmacharini. They are actually meant for everybody. And Arjuna himself, he was a warrior, he was a married man, he was a grihastha, and his duty was to protect. And the principles of the Bhagavad Gita, after Krishna spoke, then Krishna asked Arjuna, now Arjuna, I am through with giving you all instructions. Now you tell me what do you want to do. And what did Arjuna say? He said, my illusion is gone. Nashta moha smiter labdha. My illusion is gone. Moha, what was clouding my mind is now gone. It's uncluttered, and therefore I am ready to perform my duty. Now, one of these, so these 18 chapters are basically meant to help us in being able to perform our responsibilities properly. Now, responsibilities are two grounds because we know we're not the body, we're the soul. That's the first instruction that Krishna tells Arjuna in the Bhagavad Gita. But we do also have a body, right? So we have a body. So you have responsibilities on two platforms. One is as the soul, we have our responsibilities. And the second is whatever obligations or whatever situations that are there in our life, we have responsibilities towards those, towards our family, towards our work, or towards our studies, and towards the home, towards so many things. So those are one category of responsibilities, and the other category of responsibilities is the prime responsibility of the soul as a servant of God. Now, both these responsibilities can be done simultaneously. You don't have to do 50 years, I'm just going to take care of all these things. When all that is over, जब वो सब कुछ हो जाएगा, तभी हम आध्यात्मिक जीवन की ओर मुड़ेंगे. दोनों चीज एक साथ हो सकता है. Both of those things can happen together, which is what Arjuna himself showed. Arjuna was a devotee of Lord Krishna, but at the same time, he was renowned for being the greatest archer, the greatest warrior. So, the Bhagavad Gita is meant to perform both our responsibilities, our swadharmas, in a proper way. Now, we thought today to discuss some very important sutras, principles, which can help us in leading a less cluttered life, in leading a life of some sort of freedom. So, therefore, we've titled this the Regulations for Freedom. Now, at this point, this discussion actually happens in the second chapter of the Bhagavad Gita. It's from the 64th verse, where Krishna gives Arjuna some principles. At this point of time, we see 57 people on Zoom. We would like to take a quick poll about freedom, right? Because these two words, freedom and regulation, they don't go together. They are actually opposites. Freedom means to be free, and regulation means not to be free, to be regulated. But can there be regulations for freedom? That's what we want to discuss. And so if Mandar Prabhu, you could just put up the poll. We have 2 questions for you. And we would really appreciate honest replies. Yeah, here are the
So,
yes, Mandar Prabhu.
yes, sir. Yes, I have launched the poll, so everybody can uh, exercise their options. It's a multiple choice questions. Don't worry, we will not be able to know who voted where. We'll just see the percentages. So no need to worry about right and wrong answers. So please participate, everyone.
Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna,
Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare Hare.
Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. So we'll take around 10 seconds. If you've not, we can see around 40 of you have filled it out. 10 of you are still left. So if you can and in a few seconds we will reveal the results of this. Okay, Mandar, I think you can end the poll.
Yeah.
Let's see what the results are. Okay. So is this on everyone's screen now? Mandar?
Yes, Prabhu. Everybody should be able to see
Now,
the results.
the first question was, do you believe that rules and regulations can give freedom? And 68% of you have said yes, they can. 20% are saying no, and around 11% are on the borderline. We don't know. So very good. If we don't know, then if we are having an open mind, we will find out. Those who say yes, okay. If you say no, then let's see. Let's see if we can change, or if our opinion gets changed after hearing what Lord Krishna has to say. Do you believe that anyone in this world enjoys full freedom? So around 75%, the majority of you say that no, people do not enjoy full freedom. And let's look into that. So if we can get this poll out, that rule.
Yes, Prabhu. We are ready to start.
So this verse from the Bhagavad Gita, 64th verse. What does Lord Krishna say? Ragadvesha vimuktaistu vishayan indriyascharan atmavashner vidheyatma prasadam adhigachati. The translation is, a person free from all attachment and aversion and able to control his senses through regulative principles of freedom can obtain the complete mercy of the Lord. It's very interesting here. Krishna is saying a person free from attachment and aversion. Now, these are things which are not very positive qualities, attachment, aversion. And he's saying a person can get free from them when he is able to control his senses. So that makes sense. I can control my senses, I can get free from a bit of attachment. I can get free from unwanted aversion. And he's saying by the regulative principles of freedom. Now, one example that everyone can relate to is a traffic signal. Now, traffic signals actually halt our movement. When we are going somewhere and there's a red signal, we have to stop. So from that point of view, it halts our free movement. It halts our freedom. But we all will agree, had traffic signals not been there, it would be very chaotic. There are times where traffic signals don't work, like last Monday, I believe, if you are from Mumbai, entire Mumbai had a power a power outage, actually complete outright power went for a few hours. And I was actually on my way somewhere, and when I was going, everything was fine. When I was coming back, suddenly no traffic lights are working. Now in some of them the police came, but in many they did not come, because now how many traffic signals across the city will they man? And automatically a traffic jam happens, because everybody wants to go first. Nobody wants to wait. Okay, you go, then you come, then I will go. It was a shock which I had received when the first time when I went to California and in San Francisco. I have family who stays there, so I used to go. The first time I went there, there on only on very big intersections they have traffic lights, but otherwise people know that if the one here is coming, then they go clockwise, then the next one he has to go, then I go, and then he go, and they actually wait, and then they go, so it's fine. But uh, that's the only place I ever saw that. Most places everybody wants to go first, and then invariably not everybody can go first, and there's a jam. So the traffic signal actually makes our free movement better, although there is some regulation. On those same lines, Lord Krishna is saying that with some principles of regulation in our life, we can actually lead freer lives. So there are actually four principles, or here you can see the five senses. We have five senses in our body: eyes, ears, nose, tongue, and touch, the skin. Now, these five senses are pulling us. They are pulling us here and there. Sometimes the eye wants to see something, but the tongue wants to taste something. The ear wants to hear something. The nose wants to smell pleasant things, and the skin wants pleasant touch. Now, many a times these would be against what is beneficial for us. Simple example, we all know we should not be eating too many fried foods. We should not be eating too much of junk food. We should not be eating too much of sweet food. A bit of it in regulation is fine, but if you go overboard, you go fat, you become dull, your arteries start to get blocked, and you get diabetes. So many issues happen. But if you don't have some self control, and you just keep on indulging in those things, what's going to happen? Eventually, your free movement of the body will start to get reduced. So these senses, they are very, very powerful, and they take us here and there. To be able to control the senses is a very important, but unfortunately a highly neglected function of every human being. We should all be trained up on how we should control our senses, because it's very important. If you can control your senses, uh, it's beneficial. But these things are not taught. So in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna teaches us. So Krishna proposes some regulations. The scriptures propose some regulations based on which we can actually be freer. Now the Shastra also tells us there are four principles or four pillars of free life. And they are mercy, austerity, cleanliness, and truthfulness. We may think that mercy, austerity, cleanliness, truthfulness, what do they have to do with freedom? We are not talking about freedom in the sense of just being able to do whatever I want to. We're talking about freedom in the sense of doing what I am supposed to do, what is actually beneficial for me, what's going to help me from both a material and a spiritual point of view. And for that, these four principles actually become pillars. Now we have another poll for you. We have in fact four questions for you. If Mandar Prabhu can just launch the next poll, and again, please be honest with your answers. These four questions actually pertain to these four pillars.
I have launched, Prabhu.
Yeah, it's launched. You can answer. The first question is, which of the two would you prefer? To be able to forgive and be kind, or to hold a grudge and hope to take revenge? When certain things happen, would I always want to keep it in my mind and wish to take revenge? Or if I have the ability and if I can forgive and forget and actually show kindness upon that person, which of the two would be better? Now, I'm not asking what can you do right now. Which would you prefer to do? The second question is, would we always try and get what we want? I want it. I need it. Or if I have the ability to say no to certain things, to control my desires and actually be content with what I have, which of the two would I prefer? The third question is, in a situation, if I have the ability not to get agitated and not to run after things, would I prefer that? Or I want to satisfy every desire and every urge that the mind has, no matter what it takes? And the last is, uh, in a situation, would I prefer to remain honest or get the ability to manipulate any situation, even if it involves speaking lies? So if you could just answer these four questions, they're pretty straightforward, the questions, and the answer depends on what do you feel like doing. So we will wait for a few seconds. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Okay, Mandar Prabhu, can we end the poll
Yes, Prabhu.
and see the results? Okay. So, 100% on the first question. It's a no-brainer, right? We would prefer to forgive and be kind if it were up to me. If my mind wouldn't come in the picture and I could say, okay, fine, no problem, I forgive you. I would prefer that, right? That I would be freer, wouldn't I? I would be freer if that were the case. So all of you agree that it would be better to forgive and be merciful, have mercy in my heart, by which I could then forgive. So to be able to forgive, I need to be merciful. I need to cultivate the quality of mercy. Now, the second one, around 88%, that's a huge number, would prefer to have the ability to be happy and hence not have many desires. And around 12%, six of you say that I want to get whatever I want. Fair enough. So most of you agree that I would be better off by being able to say no to certain desires, be able to embrace some austerity by saying no, it's not needed, I don't need it, or I don't want to be after it. The third question is about a situation. So would I be agitated in a particular situation or not? So do I want to not get agitated in a tempting situation? Around 80% of you say yes, I would not want to be doing that. Just give me a second. Yeah. And around 11 of you want to satisfy your urges. Now, when we do try to satisfy our urges, it's not always very easy, right? You have to work so hard for it. And most of the times, we're not even satisfied after that. So, it would be better. I mean, we would be better off having the ability, those urges don't come. 10 desires have come, or 10 desires are in front of me through advertising, through people, through so many things. And I have the ability to say, I don't need them. I don't need it. I don't need it. I really don't need it. I don't want to go after it. I am satisfied with what I have. That would be freedom. We would be more freer in that situation rather than being forced or being tempted. I need it, chahiye, I want it. If I don't have it, I can't do without it. And the last one is, I actually expected a 100% result in that, but I knew we are not going to get a 100% result in that. Being able to remain honest in any situation, no matter how difficult it is. Actually, there's some text missing there. It should be being able to remain honest in a situation in spite of facing difficulty. That was the entire thing. So 98% of you say yes, and two people want to be a master at manipulating things. So congratulations for the two of you. We will have a seminar soon called Being Human, and we'll gift you that Being Human Salman Khan shirt also. And then we can try and get you out of being masters of manipulating situations. Thank you, Mandar Prabhu. We can take this poll out.
Yeah, we can start.
So now, so these four principles, when we cultivate in our life, I can be able to forgive people. There are so many stories which to this effect of people who are tried for murder and their family can forgive them. These things, people are taken aback. Wow, how could you do something like that? To have mercy in our heart, to forgive people for big or small things. The Shastra says that the thing that you need to cultivate for that is first to show mercy to animals, to show mercy to the lower creatures in this chain of life. So till the time we don't show mercy to the lower creatures, it's going to be very difficult to show mercy to human beings. So the regulation to cultivate the principle of mercy in our heart is to avoid eating meat. The regulation to live a life of, to cultivate austerity, to be able to say no to desires, is to avoid intoxication, to avoid intoxicants. We'll go step by step into why each of these things is important. The regulation for cleanliness. Cleanliness, we don't just mean cleanliness externally, but cleanliness from within. A clean mind, a clean heart is what will, if a mind is clean and control, if the heart is clean, then automatically our actions and our activities become clean. So cleanliness on two accounts. The bodily, don't just spray French perfume all over yourself and don't take a bath for a few days. Clean the body, clean cloth, clean body, but more important, clean mind and clean heart. And the principle for that is given, enunciated by the Shastra, is no illicit sex life. And truthfulness, to be able to be honest, be straight, not be a master of manipulating things like those two people who are going to attend our Being Human session, is no gambling. Let's look at these four in detail. Okay, we're going to spend the next 15 minutes or so in these things, and then we're going to speak about some other principles. The first one is no meat eating. Now, irrespective of whether you are a vegetarian or a non-vegetarian, whether you eat meat or you don't eat meat, we are going to be speaking some practical points here. So let's give it an open mind. The scientific consideration about why this body is meant to consume non-meat products. It's meant to consume a plant-based diet, or it's meant to consume what we call as a vegetarian diet, is that there is a difference between herbivorous and carnivorous animals just in terms of the composition of the body. The teeth, the intestine, the digestive system, they are all different for animals which are supposed to consume meat. They can directly, from their teeth, cut off raw flesh and they can digest that raw flesh. Whereas we need to have organized slaughterhouses, and then we need to marinate that, and we need to store it in the freezer, and then make it soft, and then add so many things to be able to digest it. And after that also, it takes around 72 hours for meat to get digested in our body. 72 hours. because of the composition of our intestines and other organs. Now, the temperature inside our body is very hot. Now, if you just put meat outside in your kitchen without refrigerating it for a few hours at standard temperature in, say, Mumbai, which is around 35 degrees, it's going to rot very fast. That's why when you bring it, the first thing you do is you refrigerate it. And you, in fact, not just you put it in the freezer, and then you cook it and you have to consume it quickly. Otherwise, it rots. Now, the temperature inside our body is 3 times that of the temperature outside. And that meat is lying there in the intestines, in the organs for 72 hours. Guess what's going to happen to that meat? It's going to rot. So, just from a scientific consideration, you see nowadays this whole movement of veganism has taken off, and it's been taken up by all these athletes. Earlier, we used to say, eat meat to become strong, eat meat to have stamina. Now, all these great athletes, tennis players like Novak Djokovic and Serena Williams, Formula One stars like Lewis Hamilton, he's now become the most successful Formula One racer. So many other people. Our Indian cricket captain, Virat Kohli, they're so fit. They sweat so much. 8 hours, 9 hours, they are running around playing their sport. They need to be at the top of their fitness regimes. And they've all said that purely from the bodily performance point of view, it's better to have a plant-based diet than to have a meat-based diet. The body recovers faster, the body responds faster, and in general, the actual functions, the innate functions of the body, you can perform it better. Just like when you see a child, children are the most flexible, and then gradually they become lesser and lesser flexible. And it has a lot to do with what we put into their mouth. The body is designed in such a way to be able to perform wonderful functions. And it will perform wonderful functions when you put proper nutrients in it. A petrol car runs on petrol, not on diesel. An electric car runs on electricity, not on something else, not on kerosene. The human body runs on plants, it runs on vegetables, it runs on fruits, it runs on dairy products, not on someone's flesh. So this is purely scientific, no religion into it, no nothing into it, purely logic. The second consideration is the economic consideration. We may say that, and some people do say that, is that if you don't kill all these animals, then they are going to overpopulate the planet. And then there'll be no space left. Let's look at few of these points. And this is shocking. We say there is a shortage of water, there is a shortage of food, countries are fighting over land, and look how much resources of the planet are destroyed just for the meat industry. 23% of the global freshwater reserves, 23%. Freshwater means drinking water, water which is drinkable, not seawater. 23% is used to grow livestock. It takes around 2,400 gallons of water to produce 1 pound of beef, to produce 1 pound of meat. That's a lot of water. So much water is being destroyed. Greenhouse emissions, not everything is due to normal industries. Around 15% of greenhouse emissions are there purely because of the slaughter industry, the meat industry. Pollution, 15% of the world's pollution comes from the meat industry. 45% of cultivable land, which could be used to grow vegetables, is used just to graze animals, not for them to be nourished, but for them to grow fatter and fatter and fatter, so that every animal killed will give you that much extra kg of meat, which you can then call as butter chicken or fish fry or keema masala or whatever animal you prefer to eat. 45% of cultivable land is used for that. This is mind blowing. This is so much resources are wasted just for that. So the economic consideration is huge. Land is cultivated, grains are cultivated not to distribute at a lower cost so that the cost comes down and everyone can afford it, but so much of grain is made just to feed animals, not for their benefit, just so that they become fatter and you can slaughter them. So it's the meat industry is actually one of the biggest pollutants and the biggest wasteful sources of resources in our on the planet. So the economic consideration also is so much. Emotional consideration. Now, in organized slaughter, here you look at this picture. There are studies done, and these are done all over the world, where children are shown animals. Now we all know children, they have nursery rhymes and everything is so nice that Mary had a little lamb, Baba black sheep, and so many things. Animals talk in cartoons and animals are so lovable and all those things. Children were told that, do you know that chicken that you eat, it comes from this animal. This is the chicken, and this is the lamb, and this is the cow. And do you really want to eat? And they all would start to cry and they would say, no, no, never. We don't want to do anything like that. Why would we want to kill these nice animals? Children are innocent, right? They have some emotions. Now, we, over a period of time, train ourselves that the taste is more important. Now, health is not anything by meat. In fact, it's going bad by meat. The only thing that's economic consideration, it's not helpful. It's not helpful to anybody by consuming meat. The tongue consideration. So we put ourselves emotionally at the back to say that my palate is more important. When an animal is slaughtered, it that getting slaughtered, because these organized slaughterhouses are created in such a way that one after the other, an animal is put. So the animal knows this is the one, oh, this happened to that one, I am next. At that time, what happens? Fear takes over. Now, when sometimes it does happen that we are put into a fearful situation, say you're walking and you're crossing, suddenly someone shouts, watch out, and you see a car just goes by you and it just missed you by a few centimeters. For a few seconds, you don't know what to do, you're fearful. And at that time, the chemical reactions in your body, certain emotions are released through chemical reactions in your body, right? And it takes a time for that to go away. Now, the same thing is happening to the animal, and those chemicals are released in its meat of fear, of anxiety, of utter desperation, and that's the meat that people consume. So, when you consume that, that goes into you as well. Every animal has a child, every animal has a parent, and just for some taste which comes for just a few minutes, after that, once we are full, then we're satisfied. For a few minutes of taste, so much is happening, not worth it. The last consideration is sin. Right? The Shastra says, and this is not just actually in our Hindu Shastra, this is there across all religions. There is some regulation for meat, even in Islam. There is some regulation of meat, even in Christianity. There is some regulation of meat, even in Judaism. And of course, in our Shastra as well. The Srimad Bhagavatam, which is considered the topmost Hindu scripture, it's called as Amal Puran, the topmost Puran, the essence of the Vedas and the Upanishads and the Puranas. This Srimad Bhagavatam says this: those who are ignorant of real dharma and, though wicked and haughty, account themselves virtuous, kill animals without any feeling of remorse or fear of punishment. Further, in their next lives, such sinful persons will be eaten by the same creatures they have killed in this world. Some people say that in our Shastra also meat eating is allowed. Yes, there is some regulation, but just like they say half knowledge is dangerous, Let's find out what that actually is. So the Shastra says, if someone has very, very, very low consciousness, then they can consume meat. But how? Not by going to a slaughterhouse. Slaughterhouses are not sanctioned. You have to kill the animal yourself. And when you kill the animal, you have to chant a mantra. And what is that mantra? That mantra in English means, in this life, I am killing you. In the next life, I give you the permission to kill me without any sin coming to you. I take all the sin. That's the mantra. And that also they are allowed to kill only on a new moon night. And then after they get the meat, they are supposed to give 3/4 portion of that to other people who are again in low consciousness, and they can eat only 1/4 portion. The purpose being, gradually by doing this, a person will realize, why am I going through so much of difficulty, not just by having to kill and give up 3/4, also making these and up for difficulty in the future life just for few minutes of taste. So gradually they give it up. Otherwise, the Shastra is very clear that meat eating is sinful. In fact, it's not just if we think that, oh, I am getting my meat from Venki's or I am getting my meat by going to a restaurant. I am not killing myself. So where is the question of sin? The Shastras know very well, right? Vyasdev and Lord Krishna, they knew very well that in Kali Yuga, people will come and they will make so many ways in which they can avoid direct sin. Therefore, they have everything given. The Shastra says 6 people get the reaction of animal killing. Excuse me. The person who kills, the person who processes, the person who cooks, the person who serves, the person who pays for it, and the person who eats. All 6 of them get an equal share, 1/6 share of the sin of killing the animal. So don't just think the butcher is getting it. If you are making it, if you are processing it, if you are paying for it, if you are eating it, you will get the same amount as that butcher will. Because it's not meant for your body, it's not helping your body, it's not good for the planet, and it's not good to kill just for the palate, just for the taste. So on all these accounts, meat eating is not beneficial, and hence the Shastra says it is sinful. If we can't give life to a person, we have no right to take life. And the animals also have life. They have a. If we can't manufacture a chicken, if we can't manufacture, give a goat, we have no right to eat them. Automatically, when we are eating such food of violence, the mercy principle which is there in our heart goes away, and we become hard-hearted. And that's when we feel, I want to take revenge. Because I have done this, I have eaten food of violence. You stop eating this, automatically the principle, the merciful nature of ours will come out. So gaining mercy and avoiding meat go hand in hand. So this was the first regulation. The second one, pretty straightforward, is no intoxication. We avoid intoxicants. What's an intoxicant? An intoxicant is something that clouds our natural way of thinking and feeling. We have a natural way of thinking and feeling, and when we put a substance in our body, either we smoke it, or we drink it, or we snuff it, whatever, or we eat it, we swallow it, whatever, it's going to alter our psychophysical nature. It's going to alter our mind. Now, to be able to control the mind, to be able to say no to desires, to be able to say, I don't need it. I am satisfied with what I have. I don't need this product. I really don't need this increment. If I get it, fine. I'm going to work hard for it. If I get it, fine. If I don't get it, I'm satisfied. To be able to do that, we need to control the mind. We need to have a stable mind, a content mind. And if you put substances which alter the mind, it's not going to help. So no intoxication. This is from the mind point of view. The most important, to be able to progress in our spiritual life. we need to be able to have a clear mind, to be able to perform some austerity. And this principle of not putting substances which cloud our consciousness is highly important. Apart from that, also from the bodily point of view, from the health point of view, we all know how important it is to avoid intoxication. I'm not even going to talk about this. You can just have a look at this slide for a few seconds. The impact of alcohol and the impact of cigarettes on our vital organs. Vital organs, they get impacted by these things. The impact of smoking on our vital organs, the impact of alcohol on our vital organs. This is proven by science. Therefore, on the label of the packet of the cigarette, there's a label, smoking is injurious to health. Therefore, every doctor will tell you, don't indulge in these things. We are definitely concerned with the body. We're also concerned with the mind. They don't tell you that. That is what our Shastra will tell us. That's common sense. So therefore, we should avoid these things. The third regulation, which involves truthfulness, is gambling. Pretty straightforward. Gambling is described as a wager or something which is waged upon, which has an uncertain outcome. It may or may not happen. So it's very easy to see how it leads us into trouble. People lose so much money. People lose so much money on satta. It may be start with a 100 rupee bet, but if you get into the habit of this, you will try and find quick and simple and not very truthful ways of earning money. अगर ये 1000 रुपए डाल के 1 लाख रुपए आ गया, why should I work hard in a profession or in a business or by honestly doing something when I can do this? But it's not always going to be that 1000 will turn into 1 lakh. It may turn into negative 1 lakh and put you in debt. So gambling is a no-no. Everybody knows it has a spiral effect. It starts low and it goes high. Casinos, the whole casino industry is built into initially giving you some gain and then taking everything. There's a saying that casino never loses. It leads to so many stressed relationships in families just because of somebody having a bad habit of gambling and losing money away. Leads to debt, leads to so many things, ultimately to stress, anxiety. And even so many people commit suicide just because of that. Too much debt taken because of all these things. Even playing around in the stock market for short-term gains on tips. ये tip मिला है, ये होने वाला है. You can invest in the stock market if you're going to invest in the long term as a pure investment. I'm going to do it and I'm not going to look at it for at least 1 year. And that's still okay. But to say that I want intraday gains or I want to regularly check the ticker, what's going to happen? Is it going up or it's going down? That's short-term stock market transactions is also known as gambling. Any speculation, because it's speculation, anything which is of speculative nature is in the category of gambling. Now we have one example in our Shastra, which people always talk about, is Yudhishthir Maharaj. Yudhishthir Maharaj was known as Dharmaraj. He was the upholder of Dharma. Why did he gamble? So he gambled because just after Indraprastha was made, we all know the story of Mahabharata. After the Kauravas, Dhritarashtra gave him a useless, barren patch of land, and the Pandavas, by their righteousness and by their performance of Yajna, made it into a wonderful land and a flourishing kingdom of Indraprastha. Yudhishthir Maharaj took a vow. He said, from now I am always going to respect and listen to my elders. I'm never going to say no to them. And taking advantage of that vow through Shakuni, Dhritarashtra was coerced into inviting them to the gambling match. And now Yudhishthir, when Vidura came with the horrible news, Yudhishthir was shocked. And he said, my God, this is so inauspicious. And this is only going to lead to trouble. But I have taken a vow that I'm not going to say no to my elders. And if Dhritarashtra wants me to come, I'm going to come. But he thought it's just going to be very simple. If I lose, I'll be out. But the Shastra Mahabharata is showing us someone as great as Yudhishthir also got carried away in the gambling match, and in the end, it led to no good. So, uh, even if we think that, oh, I'm not going to do it. You have the example of Yudhishthir. He also didn't want to do it. He also thought he'll just do it once and give it up. But then he got carried away by it, and that led to disaster. So this principle of honestly working, honestly doing it, not taking unnecessary shortcuts, working hard, goes away by uh, this temptation of easy money through intraday transactions or easy money through gambling. It doesn't help, and therefore it should be avoided. That's the third regulation. And the fourth regulation, to have uh, no illicit sex. Sex life, illicit sex, this is again for mental cleanliness also. Illicit sex means sex life outside of marriage. Not thinking that if I have bodily urges, I can satisfy them with whoever I want to. I can satisfy them with uh, multiple people if I choose to. It's my right. It's my freedom. Real freedom would be I'm married now and this is my partner and that's it. And I don't feel an urge or a temptation towards anybody. I don't feel it also. That's real freedom. Real freedom is sitting in a room with nobody looking at you and having all these temptations there. You have alcohol, you have intoxicants, you have the ability to gamble, you have very beautiful people of the opposite sex there, you know, ready to enjoy with you. And there is nobody looking and nobody is ever going to come to know, and you can still say, I don't want to do it. It's not what I'm meant to do. It's not going to be beneficial for me. And I have that much control to say no and get out. That's freedom. Freedom is not, people say freedom means you can do whatever you want, whenever you want, with whoever you want. Don't create shackles or boundaries in my life. No, that's an animal. That's a pervert who, when he needs a cigarette, has to go. When he needs alcohol, has to have what anytime. When he needs food and he wants meat, meat. And desires are not fulfilled by one person. That's okay. That's normal. That's the 21st century. It's not going to help. We don't even need to get into the diseases. We don't even need to get into all those. From the point of view of looking at the opposite sex as a means of enjoyment, as a means of my enjoyment, that itself is a very big shackle. That itself is very bad. That itself leads to so many unnecessary things, broken relationships, lies, cheating, so many things, corrupting the society. We see so many unfortunate incidences happening all over the place. Why is that? Because the entertainment industry and in general, everybody says, yes, it's good to enjoy your senses unrestrictedly. Well, when you do that, this is the result of what happens. But when you're taught from the beginning or from whenever you come across this knowledge, regulation is what brings freedom. Regulate these things and regulate the mind, and then the ability to be satisfied with what you have and say no to these things is what makes a person really free and really in control of their lives. Right now, my senses are in control of me. The tongue wants this, the genitals want this, the nose wants this, the eyes wants this, and I am chasing after it. It should be the other way around. I should be in control of my senses. Don't need that. Okay, yeah, that is beneficial. We'll do that. Invest your time in that. That's what's going to lead to good for your family. That's what's going to help you, rather than just being pulled by the tongue, by the senses. So, no illicit sex. So many disadvantages of this. So many studies are done when children have sex earlier in life, when they have sex in without marriage. It leads to so many emotional traumas. It leads to uh, so many psychological problems in them, and so many other things are there. the solution is not wearing contraceptives. The solution is not doing all these things. The solution is putting the real contraceptive, which is not having the desire to indulge in these things, being honest and being truthful and being true to our vows of marriage, or when we are students, refraining from it, learning what we're supposed to learn, and then when we enter into marriage life, we can engage in illicit in proper sex life and not indulge in illicit sex life. The highest principle of this is what Lord Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, where he says, Dharma viruddha bhuteshu kamosmi bharatarsabha. He says, sex life, which is not against the principles of religion, I sanction that. And sex life is primarily meant for procreation, for creating, for having children, right? For impregnating or for getting impregnated. That is what sex life is actually meant for. Every function of the body is meant for certain things. So the sex life is primarily meant for having children. And one step lower, at least have sex life in marriage. And if it goes beyond that, then that is called as illicit sex, which is not good for us. So these are the 4 regulations, the 4 regulative principles. The 4 pillars of freedom, just to recap, are mercy, austerity, cleanliness, and truthfulness. And the 4 regulations to achieve these things are avoid meat, avoid intoxicants, be content in your married life, and if you're a student, refrain from it completely. No illicit sex, no sex outside of marriage, and no gambling. Avoid quick money wagers, which do not which are not certain, speculation. Avoid them. Now we may say that it's fine to speak about all these things and it's fine to give all these statistics and all these things. It seems logical. I also know these things are not good. I also know I need to avoid them. But I can't control myself. My mind just is so attached to these things. I can't control. Every now and then, I fall prey to my desires. What's the solution? Lord Krishna has the solution. He's given the solution already in Bhagavad Gita. We must never think that ये problem का कोई solution नहीं है. ये नया problem है. ये प्रॉब्लम अभी क्रिएट हुआ है. 21st सेंचुरी का प्रॉब्लम है. नया जनरेशन का प्रॉब्लम है. हम मिलेनियल्स का प्रॉब्लम है. Every problem Lord Krishna has already foreseen and he's given solutions in the Bhagavad Gita. And therefore to this problem of I agree with you, I want to do it, but मुझसे रहा नहीं जाता है, क्या करूं? भगवान बताते हैं. Krishna is saying what to do. In the 59th verse of the 2nd chapter, Krishna says, Vishaya vinivartante niraharasya dehina rasavaryam raso apyasya param drishtva nivartate. Lord Krishna tells Arjuna, though the embodied soul may be restricted from sense enjoyment, the taste for sense object remains. But ceasing such engagements by experiencing a higher taste, he is fixed in consciousness. Krishna is agreeing with us. He's telling Arjuna, though we may want to restrict sense enjoyment, the taste remains, the desire remains, the pleasure which we've experienced, fleeting pleasure, and after that pleasure is experienced, we're normal. But again and again, the desire comes. Krishna is saying, seizing such things, not by just seizing them, but by experiencing something higher. Krishna is saying that will fix one in higher consciousness. Rasa varyam raso apiyasya. Raso apiyasya means a higher taste. Param drishtva nivartate. A person is fixed in higher consciousness. So Lord Krishna is saying, if you cultivate a spiritual side to you, just like we discussed in the beginning, we have responsibilities towards the body. We have responsibilities towards our original self, which is the soul. So by cultivating a spiritual practice, by cultivating our spiritual side, by feeding the soul, by giving fuel to the soul, automatically the mind and the senses get controlled. Now we have four simple things. Our Srila Prabhupada, the founder Acharya of the International Society for Krishna Consciousness, ISKCON, he's given us four very simple tools, which if we practice in our life on a daily basis, very quickly, guaranteed in a few months, and depends on how nicely you do, in a few weeks, you will get the ability to say no to lower pleasures, because as Krishna is saying, we're experiencing a higher taste. Let's look at these four principles. Srila Prabhupada in the purport is saying, this is the purport to this verse. I'm going to read it. You please follow the text. Prabhupada says, unless one is transcendently situated, it is not possible to cease from sense enjoyment. The process of restriction from sense enjoyment by rules and regulations is something like restricting a diseased person from certain type of eatables. The patient, however, neither likes such restrictions nor loses his taste for eatables. Similarly, sense restriction by some spiritual processes like Ashtanga Yoga in the matter of yama, niyama, asana, pranayam, pratyahar, dharana, dhyan, etc. is recommended for less intelligent persons who have no better knowledge. But for one who has tasted the beauty of the Supreme Lord Krishna in the course of his advancement in Krishna consciousness, no longer has a taste for dead material things. Therefore, restrictions are for less intelligent neophytes in spiritual advancement of life, but such restrictions are good only until one actually has a taste for Krishna consciousness. When one is actually in Krishna consciousness, he automatically loses taste for pale things. So by cultivating our spiritual side, automatically we don't have to say no to them. The desire itself goes away. And automatically, when those four things are achieved, those four pillars of religion come. We become merciful. We become clean inside and out. We have the ability to say no. We have that austerity. And we are truthful. We can be honest. So those four regulations lead to those four things. And to achieve those two, Srila Prabhupada again suggests four things. Let's look at that. And now, our success depends on how honestly and how much with determination we are ready to accept this. How determined we are that I want to lead a life wherein I have freedom to say no to desires. If I am determined, then I will be willing to invest time into it. I will be willing to invest consciousness into it. And with that, I will achieve success. So the first principle is having good association. It is said, birds of the same feather flock together. You are whom you associate with. Sangat ka asar, sangat ka prabhav. We must always keep good association in our life. We must keep association of people who are also like-minded in wanting to cultivate their own spiritual side, and people who also refrain from these unwanted things. If you have too many people around you who are always into these things, it's very difficult to say no. If you have people who are devotees of Lord Krishna, who are spiritualists, who are spiritual practitioners, automatically their association will be imbibed upon us. There's a nice story in our Puranas of two birds and two parrots born together, born to the same mother. The person who was breeding them sold them to two different people. Right? Before that, they were with him only. He sold them to two different people. After a while, he went to check upon them. So they were flying somewhere or something like that, and he heard one parrot speaking very nice things, singing bhajans, singing shlokas, and he heard the other parrot saying, kill him, hold his neck, kill him, don't let him go, don't let him run." He was shocked. What happened to these guys? He found out that one of the parrot is in the court of the king, and the king is a very spiritual person. So the parrot is in the court, and the king always invites sadhus. Sadhus come and sadhus recite shastra, they recite shlokas, they recite bhajans and kirtan, and the parrot is hearing that. So the parrot is repeating that. And the other parrot was owned by a butcher. So he was a butcher where he kept a parrot. And what is the parrot speaking? What the parrot is hearing. And what is the parrot seeing and hearing? Kill, hold the neck, यहाँ से cut करो, उसको वहाँ से cut करो, पैर बांधो, हाँ अभी मारो. Parrot is speaking. What we expose ourselves to, what we throw ourselves into, is what we will become. So have good association. Now, one thing that we can help you out with this is come into regular devotee sangha. We have a regular program once a week of such Bhagavad Gita sessions. Come for them. When the temples open, come to the temple and attend. Right now, come on Zoom and attend. Hear some Shastra, hear the words of Lord Krishna. They will benefit us. They will give us that higher taste, as Krishna says, Param Drishtva Nivartate. Situate us in higher consciousness. And if there are certain very negative people around you, keep them away. Keep their association away. Don't associate too much with those categories of association. The second solution that Srila Prabhupada gives is fill the mind with Shastra. Fill the mind with the words of Lord Krishna. Reading spiritual books. Reading Shastra. Every day, if we can have a program to read every day, we will imbibe these things. What happens is, we are moving around in the world. Every day we're coming across different situations. We're coming across different experiences. If along with that every day we are also reading Shastra, practical guidelines that Lord Krishna gives us, when we experience things in the world and when these words of Krishna are also there every day, we link the two and that leads to what is called as realizations. I have knowledge of what Krishna is saying. I have experience of how it's actually happening in the world. The combination of those two is realization. Realization is what goes in the heart. Realization is what uplifts my consciousness, and realization is what then fixes me in higher consciousness. Those experiences in the world we're getting for free. We just need to add the Shastra Gyan into it, and that becomes Vigyan, that becomes practical. So daily reading. We again have a program for this every night at 9 p.m. If you're ready to invest 15 minutes, then we invite you for this program where we read the Bhagavad Gita and then we discuss 1 or 2 verses every day. So in this way, automatically, just by removing 15 minutes, it's like an EMI. Remove little money and it becomes big. Remove 15 minutes every day and in a year you complete the Bhagavad Gita. You get so many realizations. So read books, read Srila Prabhupada's books, read Shastra. The third thing, very important, is chanting. The Shastra says there is no difference between the names of God and God himself. And the Shastra also says, and Prabhupada writes this in many, many places, Krishna is the purifying agent. Krishna is the topmost purifying agent. Just like you have the sun, you have sunlight. Sunlight can evaporate pure water and impure water, purify it, and send it back as crystal clear, pure, drinkable water. The sunlight has the power to do that. Therefore, it can absorb gutter water and it can absorb some water lying there from the river and send it both down as crystal clear rainwater. The Lord, the Supreme Lord, Krishna, has the ability to purify anybody's consciousness. Whether someone is very, very perverted or someone is pretty good, Krishna can help both people advance. Both their consciousnesses can be elevated to higher and higher levels because Krishna is the greatest purifying agent in this world. The creator, the one who's maintaining us, the one who's created this, has the ability to get us out of any mess that we get ourselves into. And the way that Krishna gives to purify our consciousness is chanting. Kali Kale Nam Rupa Krishna Avatar. In Kali Yuga, Krishna comes in Nam Rupa, in the root of his holy name. And in the Srimad Bhagavatam, it is also said that Kaler Dosha Nidhe Rajan Asti Hi Eta Mahan Guna. Kaler Dosha Nidhe Rajan means Kali Yuga is full of dosh. Dosh means full of faults. But Asti Hi Eka Mahan Guna. This is Sukdev Goswami telling Maharaj Parikshit the king. There is one great guna, one Mahan guna. What is that? Kirtan evad Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. Simply by this kirtan, by this chanting of Lord Krishna's names, Kirtan evad Krishnasya Mukta Sangha Param Vrajet. You get free, you get freedom, real freedom from all that is bogging us down, and ultimately we get liberated from the cycle of birth and death, from this material world altogether. But at our level, freedom from anger, freedom from lust, freedom from envy, freedom from just the mind in 10,000 different places. And the most important, development of love of God. The process of chanting helps us achieve all of these things. And therefore, the chanting of the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is the most important thing to achieve real freedom. And again, for that also, we have a program for you. We're not just giving you gyan, we're giving you tools to achieve it. Association, come join us once a week for a program. Read books, come just 9 p.m. through with us, 15 minutes, read. Chanting, again, join us at 7 o'clock in the morning. Every day we have guided mantra meditation sessions. Every day at 7 o'clock online. Spend 10 minutes with us, spend 15 minutes with us. If you like, spend the entire half an hour with us and we will chant with you. And you have a lot of devotees there chanting and you join in. And in this way, you can continue and you can bring and start this practice of chanting every day. The last one is diet, prasadam. People say, plants also have life. Yes, plants also have life. And therefore, it's not just enough to be a vegetarian. We must offer whatever we eat to Lord Krishna. And in this way, Krishna says that when you do offer that, I remove whatever sin is there in that food. But before anyone jumps the gun and says, hey, I'll offer my butter chicken to Krishna, he's saying he'll remove sin. Krishna says you can offer only 4 things to me. Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. There is no butter chickenum. There is no fish fryum. There is Patram, Pushpam, Phalam, Toyam. A leaf, that is vegetables, fruits, flowers, and water. That liquids include dairy, but that's it, no other liquids. And if you do that, you can offer it to Lord Krishna, Krishna will accept. And if you're outside, you're eating something vegetarian, you can mentally offer to Krishna. In your mind, just put a prayer. Lord, because of you, the sunlight is coming. Because of you, the rains are coming. Because of you, there are nutrients in the earth. Because of you, the moon is shining. Because of all these things, we're getting all this vegetation. We're getting all these grains by which we are sustaining. From the soil to the soul. All happening by you. Please accept it. I want to show my gratitude to you by offering this to you. And in this way, when we make sure whatever we are eating is first offered to Lord Krishna, that prasad means mercy. That prasad has the ability to purify ourselves. In Australia, when Srila Prabhupada had first started the Hare Krishna movement in Australia, this is in the 70s. After he started in America and in Europe and then in India, sent disciples to Australia. But the Australians were very free thinking. Even now they are. So they did not accept. So Prabhupada told his disciples, just give them prasad. Cook food, vegetarian food, offer it to Lord Krishna and distribute to the masses. And by that, their hearts will change, their consciousness will change. And that actually happened. So whatever we eat, make sure it's vegetarian and make sure at least mentally, if not properly, if that facility is available, at least mentally offer it to Lord Krishna. And in that way, you are eating prasads, you're cleansing yourself, you're chanting Hare Krishna, you're cleansing yourself, you're putting Shastra Gyan in yourself, you're cleansing yourself, you're associating with like-minded people, you're uplifting yourself. All these 4 things are leading to Param Drishtva Nivartate, higher consciousness. And when there is higher consciousness, automatically illicit sex life, meat eating, intoxication, gambling, they go away. They run away far. All those desires don't even come close. So these 4 things, if we have in our life on a daily basis, we will be benefited. So we are helping you with all these 4 things. association. Join us for the weekly Bhagavad Gita class and the nightly Gita session, 15 minutes only, and weekly 1 hour. Books. If you don't have the physical copies, go to this website, www.vedabase.io. All of you who've registered, whose numbers we have, we're going to send you these details just after the class. We're going to send it to you. Chanting. Daily guided mantra meditation sessions at 7 a.m. Do join us. And diet, if you want recipes on how to cook nice vegetarian food, although in Indian cuisine you don't need it, log on to this website, food.krishna.com. We have everything there. We have all wonderful recipes that you get in Govinda's restaurant available there to enjoy. Okay. Thank you very much. Thank you for giving us your time. Thank you for this opportunity. To know more about any of our sessions, please log on to esconbhivandi.org, and we would like to invite you to that website, and you can learn more about our activities. If you have any questions, since we are going to end now, if you have any questions, if you have put it on the chat box, you will get an answer. We will reply to you. Otherwise, write to us at geetaclassonline@gmail.com. If the hosts can just put it on the chat box for everybody, geetaclassonline@gmail.com, and within a day, we will get back to you. So I thank everyone, and I urge all of you, cultivate these principles of freedom, mercy, austerity, truthfulness, and cleanliness by refraining from meat eating, intoxication, gambling, and illicit sex, which is 110% possible by associating with devotees, reading Shastra every day, chanting the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra every day, and having prasadam every day. Do it, you'll be happy, you'll be able to actually be satisfied and enjoy this life and ultimately serve our true purpose of worshipping and serving. Thank you very, very much for joining us. Till next time, Hare Krishna, Srila Prabhupada ki Jai.